Yo, Giga fam, I am back with a tier list update for Season 5 Warzone, ranking the SMGs. There was a big balance pass with Season 5, and so it's definitely time to revisit our tier list and rank the new gun, the static, as well as reorder some of the other ones. So we're just going to start from scratch, and we'll get right into it with a very solid option, the standard striker. I think this thing really just kind of centers our tier, gives us a really good baseline to work from because it's pretty much good in all areas. It's got a decent TTK, good handling, feels great to use. I think a lot of skilled players will really enjoy it just because it kind of checks those boxes of versatility, consistency. It's got everything you could want in a sub. It's just well balanced. It's not overtuned. We're gonna get into some other guns that are not so balanced in other ways. The Swarm I would put at the top of B tier. It is definitely not an overall versatile, consistent, balanced gun like the Striker. It has very defined strengths and weaknesses. Its strengths are obscenely fast TTKs up very close. So if you're barrel stuffing, you're going to win most of your fights unless you're against a shotgun. And it has a really fast fire rate, and you can even run a 100-round drum. The weaknesses of the gun are just its range is terrible. The recoil is unwieldy, even if it had good range, which it doesn't. So it's just, you know, if you're going to use it, understand what you're getting yourself into. The WSP-9 is still incredible. They did nerf it with Season 5, which I was a bit surprised by. It has open bolt delay, which a lot of people don't think is a big deal, and while I agree in some situations, if you bring an open bolt delay sub into iridescent ranked, okay, where people are playing trades, a lot of times it's not just a we line up, rock 'em, sock 'em, robot style, and shoot each other until someone goes down, or, you know, you're getting to hose someone down in one go if they don't see you yet. A lot of times you're gonna fight, you know, it's like multiple trigger pulls per fight because they're dipping in and out of cover, or they're a target that wasn't even full health to begin with, so that open bolt delay makes up a greater percentage of the damage you have to deal with to them. Okay? If this is confusing, don't overthink it. The point is the damage is sort of backloaded on the WSP-9, which, in my opinion, with my experience as a player, that's a big weakness for a sub. However, every other thing about the gun is top tier. Top tier handling, top tier range, amazing TTKs. So, and you can kind of use it to your advantage at times. Like, if you know the damage is backloaded and you pre-fire, that can be a way. Or if you're going to try to chow multiple targets, which is usually inadvisable but sometimes can't be avoided, don't stop pulling the trigger. Just go ahead and keep firing as you flick to the next target. You know, if you can kind of work around that open bolt delay, and even if you have no idea about all that and you don't want to worry about it, it's still a really good gun. So I think it's definitely solid as A tier. I do think, though, between the open bolt delay, a little bit of a slower fire rate, it can be an inconsistent gun where sometimes you just delete people and other times you may struggle a little bit. And I think by them, what they nerfed was the multipliers. So, like, if you're hitting lower torso or lower body, you're going to do less damage. You need to have good shot placement with it. I just think that will further contribute to the gun feeling a bit inconsistent. So it is certainly not S tier. It is certainly not meta, but it is top tier. If you can't tell, I'm not personally a huge fan of the gun, but I have to acknowledge its power on paper, and I'm sure a lot of you will like it, hence the A tier. AMR 9, we're going to put into C tier. It's just, you know, they buffed the range pretty substantially, but it's like buffing range when a gun has bad damage, it really doesn't move the needle too much because it's like, okay, it may have better range than some of the guns ranked above it, but even in those guns' second or even third damage fall off ranges, it still does more damage than the AMR9's max damage range, if that makes sense. So the AMR9 is just outclassed right now. Until they buff up its actual base damages a bit, it's going to be lagging behind. The Rival 9 conversion kit is pretty interesting, more so as a sniper support. As we're going to see, it has really interesting TTKs out to ridiculous ranges. It's going to suffer a bit in terms of just kind of handling and usability, but I think it's a interesting sniper support if you use that conversion kit. Don't try to use it as your kind of everyday use, clearing buildings SMG. It's going to be outclassed by other guns for that role, but as a sniper support, I think it offers a lot of value. Striker 9 got gutted a few patches ago. I love the gun. I love the design of it. It feels great. You can still win some fights with it, but it's definitely outclassed now, unfortunately, just due to the nerfs. We're gonna mix shotguns in here, by the way, guys. Just so we can get the entirety of the close range meta tiered. The haymaker is easy A tier, easy A tier. It is, if you play Rebirth Island, headquarters, corner living, like the multicolored houses near factory, buildings like that, there is nothing better than the haymaker. Okay, it combines the absolute oppressive damage output and just wreaking havoc that like the OG broadside brought to the table. Very similar to that. But it actually has really good movement speed for a shotgun of that class. We haven't really seen something like that in Warzone. I do think we still have a couple of overtuned SMGs where we don't have a shotgun meta on our hands yet. But if they keep nerfing these SMGs, we may be in for a haymaker meta, which I think is like the last thing any of us want. Even if you throw it on your loadout every once in a while, have some fun with it, destroy some 4-stacks with it, and like Grandma's House, Rebirth Island, you don't want everybody in the lobby running this thing. So hopefully they can keep a healthy, balanced state for the game. The Jack Raven kit is a conversion kit for the MCW, and it gives it a 600 millisecond TTK, which is very good. That's like meta TTK, out to about 20 meters, which is an insane damage range for an SMG, by the way, for its max damage. And then the only weaknesses it's going to have compared to other SMGs is, the handling, the mobility will be lagging a bit behind. If you really push the sprint to fire timers and stuff like that down, it makes the gun kind of unwieldy. So, you kind of have to pick and choose. You want to go more of a sniper support route. The problem with it as a sniper support, though, is the bullet velocity is horrible. So I think it really makes most sense as an SMG, and then you just need to pre-aim your fights. You can't go running in like a headless chicken because you will be punished by the sprint to fire timers and handling. But if you hold your angles and you hit your shots, you will win pretty much every gunfight. So on paper, it's got some really defined weaknesses. However, I think the strengths are actually pronounced enough where I would put this A tier. I think it's very good. The Renetti conversion kit, this Jack Ferocity carbine kit, was like absolute meta for a while, broken even, I would say. They nerfed it substantially though. I think it's right around kind of like the AMR9 and the Striker 9, where it's just a mediocre gun at this point in time. The Riveter, another shotgun, really annoying to play against, really oppressive. It's just outclassed by the haymaker. The only reason why anyone would run the Riveter is if they struggle with when you use auto tactical sprint, which most people do in Warzone. Sometimes they get in an issue where if they're not good mechanically, they will accidentally engage a sprint in between every semi-auto shot. So I know some people struggle with that on like the haymaker, but that I would say that is a skill issue. All you need to do when you want to press into targets, which is very important because damage ranges on shotguns are obviously very punishing. They dominate like very close, but if a target is 10 meters away, you're gonna get destroyed by an SMG. So you always want to be pressing. Every inch counts, right? Pause. So what I do is I'll jump, okay, and then I'll just hold the jump button down. And if you experiment with this, even with auto attack sprint, as long as you hold the jump button down, you can continue walking forward as you spam the shotgun. So you can kind of integrate it into movement that you already do anyway. Or after a slide cancel, just continue to hold the jump button. But yeah, outside of that, just kind of beginner aspect. I mean, I do think it's like oppressive, and I mean, I've seen people do 1v4s with it. We'll throw it in C tier. The superi, it was absolute meta last patch, as we know. Completely overtuned like movement, handling, beautiful recoil, great ranges, good but not broken TTK, but a consistent TTK. And it's it's easy to have good shot placement with it due to just the usability and great recoil. Beautiful iron sights, tons of ways to build the gun. You can go strafe, you can go straight up tac sprint movement. You can go for a little bit more of like an AR hybrid, if that's your playstyle. So I love the versatility of the gun. I love the design of the gun. Um, the nerf was negligible. If you run a short bore barrel rescue stock tac sprint build, last patch you had 8.2 meters per second tac sprint speed. This patch, I guess just due to the way it maths out with the multipliers, that's still the tac sprint speed you get. And that was the only thing that was nerfed. A 0.1 meter per second on the mobility, 0.2 meters per second on the ADS strafe. It's just not noticeable, guys. It really isn't. And the other thing is they've added new attachments like the paracord underbarrel and the quartermaster suppressor, which I like to run on my subs actually, just to make them that much more viable out to like mid ranges with really pinpoint recoil. I think it feels better than it did last patch when I throw those attachments on it, to and then that overcomes the nerfs in a way, because I used to run a more balanced build on my superi. Now I run that short barrel, just full aggressive build, but I throw those new attachments on it, and I still feel like I can reach out and touch people mid range while still having insane movement. So long story short, superi still easily S tier meta, amazing. I kind of hope, I'm sure they will tune it, but I hope this sets a standard for how powerful SMG should be. Don't make the TTKs broken. Getting zapped by a 500 millisecond TTK is not fun, okay? But an SMG should be substantially faster and better handling than other options in the game. That's kind of what defines an SMG. So, and it's great when we have fun to use, powerful but not broken things. So I would like for them to continue to emulate this instead of just gut the gun and not at least replace it with something similar. The Reclaimer 18 got a buff. It is now more consistent. They have, they seem to have fixed a lot of the hit registration issues. I think it's a B tier now. It's probably the best pump shotty It's probably the best pump shotty outside of like weird broken outliers that we've had. I like where they're going with the Reclaimer 18. If you're good at shouldering, if you're good at understanding its burst damage, and that you need to finesse between pumps, boy, the shotgun chatter can get a little bit dicey here and there. Anyway, the Reclaimer 18 is very good. I like the way they're going with it. I wouldn't even mind if they make it a little bit more powerful. Give my mouse and key brethren, because pump shotties are not easy to use. It's not a spray and pray shotty like a haymaker. You gotta have some skill to use a pump shotty effectively. I wonder if any of my OGs remember the Mog from Blackout. You know what I'm talking about. You had to have skill to use that gun. The Jack Revenger kit is an SMG conversion for the BP-50. Great gun. We can easily put that at the top of B tier. Some might argue it is A tier. However, when we have a look at the TTK charts, you will observe that it has a very punishing damage range fall off. And it's not like it has a broken TTK in its first damage range. It has a very solid TTK, but then it falls off really hard. The HRM9, such a good feeling gun. It's funny, my son, even after all the nerfs, like refused to take it off his loadout, and he still dominates. He's Crimson. He's only 9 years old. He's a beast. But yeah, it is statistically just not very good. We'll throw it at the top of C tier just for that usability. You know, it feels good. You know, on paper it's not great, but I feel like it kind of makes up for it because you're gonna hit your shots, you're gonna finesse. It's gonna feel good in your hands, but yeah, statistically just not very good anymore. RAM 9. I mean, on paper, it's kind of the opposite of the HRM. On paper, it's quite decent. Um, or at least I should say not terrible. But man, in most people's hands, it's just a mess to use. You know, it shakes like a shitting dog. It's hard to find a way to build it where you don't gut the handling or just have it continue to just be miserable to use. Um, I personally I just kind of hate the gun. So maybe there's some subjectivity here, but I gotta put this C tier. You know, on paper it's probably a little bit better than these other guns in C, but just a horrible usability. Unfortunately, the Vel 46. I think there's an argument to be made. It's one of the better Modern Warfare 2 guns. They keep buffing it. I will say, when they buff these Modern Warfare 2 guns, it's kind of like they're trying to polish a turd, right? They just, they come from an era of Warzone where the design of the guns didn't really feel like COD, right? They had a lot of shake to them, a lot of variance in the recoil plots where your shots will just randomly go awry in a way that's impossible to control. RNG elements, visual obfuscation, and that doesn't matter as much on an SMG, but it's like, why am I gonna run guns like that when I could run the superi that just feels amazing and is better on paper? It just doesn't make sense. But the Vel has a lot going for it. Great, good movement. Once you can get access to enough of the new attachments, you can kind of make it work. So we'll throw that one in B tier. The rest, they're not terrible. Okay, they're usable. Some of them actually are terrible. But like the Vaznev got a buff, but it's still not great. The BAS-P is always kind of lingering around. They're just C tier guns. They're not terrible, but they're not great either. And there's not much of a reason to use them unless you're just trying to mix it up, or you really have an attachment to that era of Call of Duty, which I don't. PDSW also just kind of decent. There was a huge, I would say huge, sort of on paper buff to the mini Bach, but again, you can't really polish a turd. It was so bad to begin with. Even with a substantial buff, it is still horrible. And if you want proof of that, we'll have a look in the TTK charts. But yeah, that's a D tier gun. Unfortunately, the Lockman sub is also horrendous. I don't know why they gutted such a staple of the Call of Duty series and just firearms in general. The MP5 Lockman sub. It's a really cool gun, but it is just horrible in balance wise. If you want to run a gun that looks like the MP5, basically is the MP5, just run the Shroud. I actually would say that's like B tier. It hits like a truck. The Lockman Shroud hits like a truck and has like good ranges. The only weakness of the Shroud is, it doesn't get that full complement of Modern Warfare 3 attachments. You can get like DR6 hand stop or like the new paracord underbarrel. So attachments that it can go on any gun, you'll still be able to use, right? But as far as the attachments specific to a gun, like the stocks, stuff like that, barrels, you have horrible options. So it's kind of hard to kit out. But other than that, like I said, it hits like a truck. Definitely fun to use. Probably, if I get like a use Modern Warfare 2 guns only wager or sub challenge in my Twitch live stream, that's the SMG I probably would gravitate to from Modern Warfare 2. The Jack Wardens, I believe it's called, conversion kit for the Lockwood basically turns it into the model 1911s from like OG Modern Warfare 2. You basically hold two shotguns. Insane. I would say it's kind of tit for tat with the Reclaimer for best like kind of pseudo pump style shotgun. I think there's going to be certain situations where you can just insta-gib people with the wardens, but they're going to be a little bit less consistent than the reclaimer. So, yeah, if you're into shotguns like that, I would say try both and see which one suits your playstyle better. I would prefer the consistency of the Reclaimer 18, but those wardens are fun to use. The Horus got a, I would say, substantial nerf. We're talking about the base Horus, but it was very, very, very good and knocking on the door to meta. Even with the nerf to the ranges, which it didn't have good ranges to begin with, that's why I say the nerf was substantial. It is still very, very, very strong. Probably stronger than most options on this list. I don't see much of a reason to use it though, just because some of these other subs are just too much better, and you know the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Yes, you'll get a little bit faster TTK up close than some of the meta options, or at least more consistent TTK up close. But you know, in exchange, you have bad damage fall off and not great recoil. I do think it's better than the Swarm. So it's fringe A tier. I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier though. I think it's arguably a better overall SMG than the MCW conversion. I just don't see enough of a reason to use it. Like the MCW conversion has defined strengths where I'm like, okay, I can counter the meta with this. I will use it. Not really seeing that too much with the Horus. The Jack Scimitar kit is the conversion kit for the Horus. You know, I think what people don't realize about this Scimitar kit is it basically has the same TTKs, if even a bit worse than the superi. But then other than that, it's worse in every single way. Sprint to fire, handling, in my opinion, recoil. So, but the superi's meta. So you know, excuse me, in a way, it's kind of like a poor man's version of the superi when you actually compare them on paper. They don't feel similar, but that's what they come out to on paper. I just don't see a reason to use it. If for some reason you're some strange creature that just hates using the superi, but you want like a similar use case, and you really like the feel of this one, okay, maybe use it. You know, it probably sneaks in like the bottom of B tier. I do think it's better than those C tier guns, so I'll give it that. I know there's people that love it, so if you disagree with me or you have your reasons, please let me know in the comment section. Maybe I'm missing something. The Jack Nightshade Rifle Kit is an SMG conversion for the DG LMG. Very strong TTKs, bad handling, bad damage per mag, but it has some compelling reasons to use it. We'll throw it at the bottom of B tier. The KV Broadside is insane. I had to use it for a sub challenge, and I mean I was dropping stacks like flies. It outside of mobility, it is every bit as good as the haymaker, so it is dangerous. And in a way, it has more of that oppression factor than the haymaker because the fire rate's faster. So broadside's nutty, but it's very slow, which makes it very difficult to use because, you know, and this is how shotguns are usually balanced. It's hard to close the gap with them, but once you do, you will dominate. The broadside definitely fits that niche. But if you close that gap, you will dominate, and arguably you might even dominate even harder than the haymaker. I just think the haymaker is sort of overtuned in the sense that it's fast enough you can close that gap, and you probably will close that gap. So definitely outclassed by haymaker due to the mobility, but still just obscene. We'll put it B tier. So that covers it, guys. I'm not gonna go through kind of like the weird akimbos or you know, pistols and like cheesy conversion kits. You know, you guys can discuss that down in the comment section. If you have one that you really like, let me know why, and I'll consider putting it on the next tier list. But you know, I'm really happy with how things kind of shook out. The static, which we're gonna get into, I would love to demonstrate for you guys why it is meta, and we will do that over in the TTK charts. Alright guys, we're over here on the TTK charts at truegamedata.com. Love that website. Link will be down in the description. But we have just kind of all the main options for close range SMGs or SMG replacements. Something I want to impress upon you all is that you can't just look at chest shot TTKs, okay? It does not tell the full picture. None of you, I don't care how good you are, only hit chest shots, okay? You're going to hit a variety of shots. And sometimes, if you're accurate, you're going to mix in some headshots, okay? Or even by accident. So it's better to look at the full picture. Sometimes the gun has an overtuned chest shot, but really punishing damage fall-offs to other shot locations. Or a gun is blessed with an insane neck shot multiplier, headshot multiplier. So you need to look at a combination, which True Game Data allows you to do. So we're going to switch this over to combination shots, which, as you can see, totally morphed the TTK. Some guns benefited from it even. Some guns remained roughly the same, like the MCW conversion. Very consistent TTKs. Other guns are hurt by it. Okay, so immediately what should jump out here is the red line, the static. The reason for that is it has best in class, along with the superior mobility, handling, all that good stuff. Maybe a little bit worse recoil, but when we look at combination shots, it has a beautiful TTK chart. Beautiful. Incredible TTK of sub 600 milliseconds. This is because it has a nutty headshot multiplier. I would encourage you all to kind of push yourself, see if you can mix in some headshots. You will win virtually every gunfight if you manage to do so without missing shots. You know, with a good technique while you're working up to that would be aim center mass, and then just kind of let the recoil bring you up to a headshot. If they start finessing you, if they're a good player, they're drop shotting, then just adapt, and you know, you might just mix in a lucky headshot in that scenario where maybe they do a drop shot and they come into your line of fire, bring their head into your line of fire. But regardless, you're going to hit some headshots, whether you mean to or not. And the static is absolutely nutty. Nutty TTKs. Easily meta due to that. Other things, because I knew there'd be some Modern Warfare 2 stands in the chat. I don't know, some people are like stuck on DMZ or something. There always is. Even after the buff, the mini Bach is fucking atrocious. Look at that white line. Miserably bad. It is miserably bad, okay? As you can see, the Horus is just tough to justify using because other guns even have a better TTK, like the static, and then the damage fall off is terrible. WSP9 looks bad on paper here, and we talked about open bolt delay a little bit. If we take that off, you know, the WSP9 is right in the mix, kind of the thick of things with meta. But, you know, I mean, open bolt delay, you know, regardless of your opinion on it, it is a factor. So it's like, even if we completely ignore it, it's still outclassed by the static. So I don't see any argument that it's meta. It's a cool gun for a lot of people, but definitely not meta. Superior TTKs might look a little bit underwhelming here, but you just got to keep in mind, you don't have to hit a headshot with it. Right? If we do only look at let's set headshot percentage to 0, okay? Let's say you don't hit any headshots, which will happen sometimes. Okay? So I'm going to take all the chest shot percentage and we're going to add it over to, or excuse me, headshot percentage, we're going to add it to chest. If we do that, the static immediately falls below those other guns, right? The red line. So, you know, and then MCW's king for TTKs, just that consistency. But again, MCW has other weaknesses. Superi doesn't really have any weaknesses. It's just an all-around amazing gun. Super versatile, super consistent. These TTKs are not bad. Without any chest shots mixed in, or excuse me, headshots mixed in, you're going to get your 630 millisecond TTK, which is great. That is not a bad TTK. But you know, there's an argument that time to kill is king up close, and if you manage to hit a headshot, you will win every fight against the superi with the static. So just something to keep in mind. I think they're close. I kind of tend to prefer to use the superi still. I've dropped 40s since the update. I've dropped 30s since the update. the superi still is incredible. If I was going into a tournament right now, I probably would use the superi. I just think we have to acknowledge, with that insane headshot multiplier, on paper, the superi probably is slightly better. So I would say those two are meta, and I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Please, I'm new to the YouTube game, at least to grinding it. I'm partnered on Twitch. I'm known for my TikTok short form content. I really want to provide you guys value on YouTube. I want to grow the Giga fam over here. Give me feedback in the comments. I will appreciate that so much. If you're new and you believe in what I'm trying to do, consider subbing. Regardless, I appreciate you for being here. Much love. We'll catch you in the next one.